Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Masterclass in the Mind Valley Academy. Our guest today is someone whom I hold really dear to my heart. He's an incredible man, a person who's been my teacher for about 15 years now. He's not just been my teacher. This man, Burt Goldman, was the #1 lecturer for Jose Silva's Silva Method. And if you've heard of the Silva Method, you know how vast that is. 2,000 people at a time would come to hear him speak. He opened for I believe it was the Mind Science Summit in Athens, Greece. 2,000 person audience. He has been a coach and a teacher to many celebrities, world-class pioneers and entrepreneurs, and people from all around the world because of his wisdom and the sheer magnitude of his depth of knowledge. Burt Goldman is 87 years old today, and he's been in this field for 50 years. Now, in that time, Burt wrote a number of best-selling books, such as The Silva Method for Mental Dynamics, which he co-authored with the legendary Jose Silva. He studied with the legendary Paramahansa Yogananda, the author of Autobiography of a Yogi. And Burt didn't just learn from these legends, he became a legend himself. His courses have been cornerstones of Mind Valley for about 10 years right now. He's been one of our most beloved authors. We're really excited right now because Burt is going to be taking you through a quantum jumping masterclass. So before I bring on Burt, let me just tell you what this is about and why this is something so powerful. I practiced quantum jumping just this morning to help me get into the groove of a really important negotiation I have coming up today. Why is quantum jumping something so powerful? Well, we all know what meditation is. We all know what creative visualization is. Quantum jumping is something quite different. Burt used it, and you'll hear some remarkable stories later on. But Burt has been teaching people to use this to tap into skills, abilities, ideas, inspiration that is seemingly beyond their physical senses. It's a really powerful tool to source new creative ideas. But quantum jumping goes beyond that. There's an interesting phenomenon that happens with people who quantum jump. Burt says that when you connect with your doppelganger, or that version of you from the future, the person who represents the person you want to be, you are able to move and vibrate with the rhythm of this successful self. And so you're not just taking on ideas, you're taking on a certain essence, a certain quality of this success. This somewhat changes people's lives. I want to read you a couple of stories of people who quantum jumped and show you some of the pictures of the incredible things that they were able to create. So there is Shirley Williams, who wrote to us. Shirley is 59 years old. She's an artist. Through quantum jumping, she said she's been able to create some of her most brilliant art. I quote, "Nothing has given me the depth I was looking for until I found quantum jumping. Thanks for sharing your wisdom." Then there is a speaker by the name of Christopher Graham from the UK, and he had a health problem that was affecting his vocal cords. He said he started quantum jumping, and not only did he get better at speaking, but he started painting pictures again. And the quality of his work absolutely astonished him. He said, "I believe you have to be in the right frame of mind to understand this method of communication. I would definitely recommend it." There is Mary Madeline Day from Hawthorne, Florida, who says she used quantum jumping to become an EFT practitioner. She said it allowed her to connect with her clients on a far deeper, more intuitive level, and it helped her take her sessions to the whole other level of quality. There is Astilda Inga Haraldóttir, hopefully I pronounced that right, from Iceland. Now this was interesting. So she had a traumatic experience in the past. Basically, she lost a child, and this really devastated her. She used quantum jumping to slowly, bit by bit, reframe her strength. She had gone into ill health, and she said that what happened with quantum jumping is that she had gone from being a ballet dancer and an acrobatic to having to quit everything. But after quantum jumping, because she was able to vibrate with that new essence of a future version of herself, an alternate version of herself that was healthy, that was positive, she started being able to walk again. She started doing rope yoga. One by one, she regained herself, and she says, "These Fridays, every Friday when I practice my quantum jumping, these days are precious to me." Then there is Rosaline Garcia from Mexico. She said, "I love Burt. I love his last name, Goldman, because this course is gold. Quantum jumping helped to develop new abilities in terms of a spiritual practice. Now, this one was absolutely fascinating. This was a musician who used quantum jumping, and he said in these quantum jumps, he got ideas for new songs to write. And the 3 songs that came to him while quantum jumping ended up being some of his, by far, his best compositions. One of the songs, he said, came to him when he did a quantum jump. He met his doppelganger. Burt will explain in a moment what a doppelganger is. And the doppelganger said, I want to see you smile. Well, he wrote a song about that. Ended up being one of his best songs ever. That in other quantum jumps, as he would talk to his doppelganger, he would see his doppelganger say phrases and words such as, let's just have fun. That became a song, Just Fun. And another one was called Do You. He said, now these 3 songs are the best songs I've written by far in this life, and I've been writing songs for 20 years. Now, he even used his quantum jumping to help him figure out what music publishing house to send these songs to. Now, when you hear about all these stories, you notice a certain pattern, right? People are using quantum jumping to create incredible works of art, of creativity. And you'll notice, when you see Burt in a bit, you'll notice the artwork behind him. And Burt will tell you the story of how he discovered quantum jumping when he had to take on a challenge from one of his students to become a world-class photographer. Art, photography, music, creativity, writing, quantum jumping magnifies this. The second thing, though, is quantum jumping, people use it as a healing tool. They use it to connect with versions of themselves from alternate universes where they aren't feeling that pain that they have right now. And they take on this health, this vibrancy, this rhythm, as Burt calls it, and they start seeing their current life change as if by magic. The third way people are using quantum jumping is to create instant shifts in their confidence, in their personality, in their style, in their charisma, in their level of sophistication by connecting with future versions of themselves and then taking on these qualities from those versions. I'll tell you a secret. I quantum jump sometimes when I have to go through an insanely difficult, nerve-wracking negotiation, business-wise, or when I'm about to take the stage and I'm going to be dealing with a large audience, and I quantum jump to see that future version of me that's a world-class speaker or an international entrepreneur who's used to such difficult negotiations. I take on those qualities, and then when I set forth into that stage, 15 to 20 minutes later, I feel completely different. And that's why this tool is so powerful. So without further ado, right now I've given you an idea of what you can learn. I want you to know that in this masterclass, we're not holding back. We're actually going to teach you how to do a quantum jump. And even if you decide after this masterclass that you don't want to enroll in Burt's advanced programs in the Mind Valley Academy, you're still going to gain something. If you decide you do enroll in his program, it's a refreshed version of quantum jumping that we're bringing up, you're going to take this to a whole other level, the level that me and a lot of these other case studies I've shared with have taken it to. So let's welcome the one, the only, the legendary Burt Goldman. Burt, how are you?
Hi, Vision. I'm fine. Boy, with that buildup, I can hardly wait to hear what I'm going to say.
I always love your sense of humor, Burt. Burt, did I get your age right? 87 this year?
Yeah, no, I'll be 88 this year.
Wow. Well, you're 87 right now. And
87.
one thing that's always amazed me about you, Burt, is the skills, the things that you pick up in your 80s. So if I can brag for you for a moment. So this man, right? So in his 80s, he learned to play the piano. He became an international world-class photographer with his photography displayed in galleries around the world. Then he started painting. That painting behind you, Burt, that's beautiful. Did you do that?
That's one of mine, yes.
And how many books have you written in your 80s?
Well, I've written 27, but I didn't write them all in my 80s, but I did write about 15 of them in my 80s.
And then I believe you started making apps. You have a e-commerce website. You got married for the second time in your 80s.
I got married 2 years ago.
So
yes.
Using quantum jumping to pick up women too.
Hadn't thought about it, but yeah, I probably did.
So what I love about you, Burt, is that just knowing you changed my life. I mean, before I even learned quantum jumping, just reading your bio and your story changed my life because we all know that our beliefs define who we become, right? Now, I've always had a belief that when you hit 80, you're too old to do anything. And the reason I had that belief is because both my grandfathers passed away when they were 65 or 66, right? So in where I'm from, it's there are very few people in my family who have lived that long and had robust lives. My grandmother, who I love, who's still alive today, in her 80s, she was pretty much bedridden. But then I see a person like you, and you've challenged the idea of age for me. I used to think that I someday wanted to retire when I was 70. Now I don't intend to retire till I'm 100. And I intend to be as productive and healthy and have that radiance and sense of humor as you well into my 80s. And I know a lot of people who are listening to this call are going to have that ancillary benefit from this call. They're not just going to learn quantum jumping. You are going to break down bullshit rules that they have about aging.
Yes, as a matter of fact, what you said goes for me too. When I see other 80-year-old people, I see somebody who's 78, 79, 80, 81, and I feel younger than them. To me, they're old. And here I am, I'm 10 years older than them. It's an attitude. And quantum jumping will help in that attitude. No question about it.
So Burt, I'd love for you to share with us your remarkable story of how you stumbled upon quantum jumping. The story of that, and this is a somewhat legendary story. A lot of people have heard it, but it never fails to inspire. But for those of us who have not heard it before, I'd love to have you tell it to us. And then following the story, you're going to take us and teach us an actual quantum jumping technique that we can apply in our lives instantly. And you're going to guide us through this technique.
I will.
Okay.
That story took place, I was doing a class in creativity, a workshop. And somebody challenged me to be creative with the quantum jumping. And I said, well, how can I be creative right now? What would you like me to do? And then one fellow said, learn how to play the violin. Jump into a violinist and learn how to play it and play the violin. I said, I can't do that. Why not? Well, there are certain laws of physics here, and there is an objective view and a subjective view. As an example, the violin, the music, it would be a right brain, for those of you familiar with right and left brain. But the dexterity of the violin comes from practice and the left brain. So that I can't do. So pick something else. And someone said this, and someone said that. And finally, someone said, how about photography? And I said, well, I don't know anything about a camera. And somebody else said, well, look, cameras today, you just point them and click. You don't have to know anything about a camera. The camera's left brain. I said, well, you know something, you're right. Okay, let me do that. So I went out and I bought a camera. Now, this is before digital. It's a few years ago. And I bought a camera, and we happened to be in San Diego at the time. And I took a quantum jump, and I visualized my doppelganger, which is a twin self. There's so much of the prefacing that I should be doing that will take some time that I'm not doing. So hopefully this will make some sense to you. My doppelganger, or my twin self, I happened to see, now I was jumping into a successful photographer twin self. It was me on another universe, in another dimension, but it was successful. He was successful. And what I visualized, what I imagined, was this guy in front of an old-fashioned camera with a hood of black velvet, the old-time cameras, the way they used to do it. And I imagined myself saying, now this all this time I'm at the meditative state. I imagine myself saying, hey, I have to learn how to do the camera work, and I have to be a genius at it. And I heard, take a lot of pictures. I said, what? I hear again, take a lot of pictures. He says, what do you mean take a lot of pictures? What kind of advice is that? That I know how to do anyway. And he goes like this. This is all in my imagination. And I'm wondering, am I having a nervous breakdown here? This is the first time I did it. I said, I'll go along with it. So I went out and I took a lot of pictures. And I had them developed, and I laid all the pictures out on the bed, and I had a lot of pictures. No, that's not, that's that. So I go back. I go back into the meditative state. And I see the same guy, me, with the hood over his head. And I said, hey, I took a lot of pictures and nothing happened. I just had a lot of pictures. And I hear very plainly, I hear, plant yourself. What? Plant yourself. What do you mean plant yourself? And again, he's going like, go away. So far, I've gotten take a lot of pictures and plant yourself, like 7 words, maybe 8 words. I said, well, that don't make sense. I said, this doesn't work. This is crazy anyway. Who's going to believe anybody can do this? And I forgot about it. But I had the camera. So I wanted to take some pictures, some nice pictures that I was going to bring to my next class. And so I went to the marina. And the marina in San Diego, they've got a lot of rocks under bridges where that's a breakwater. So I wanted a good vantage point. So I went down to the rocks. And as I'm walking down to the rocks, it's slippery. And so I slapped my feet down, bang, bang, onto the rocks to get a better purchase, to make myself a tripod. And as soon as I did that, I'm thinking, gee, I'm planting myself, which I was doing. I said, I'm planting myself. I said, I wonder if that's what he meant. So now I'm standing in one spot and I've got the camera and I go like this. Click, 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 click. I'm the tripod. I took 110, something like that, pictures. 3 rolls of film. It was before digital, like I said. And now I got a lot of pictures again. And I figure, well, one of these has got to come out good because now I planted myself. So I had them developed at one of those 1-hour places. And I'm in a hotel in San Diego. And I go back to the hotel and I'm laying the pictures out on the bed to see which is the best one. But instead of 100 pictures, instead of 110 pictures, it's one picture. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. Of course, I took a lot of pictures like that. And it was the most amazing picture I'd ever seen. I says, my God, and I ran out and I bought a foam core and some glue and I glued the pictures onto the foam core. And I started a whole new art form. Since then, I've done 20 of those and I've sold them for, well, you wouldn't believe how many thousands of dollars that I get for these pictures.
I know, Burt, because I bought one. You wouldn't sell me that original picture that you created in San Diego, but I bought the second version of it, right? And
Yes,
I'm bringing it onto the screen right now so everyone can see how beautiful it is. It hangs in my office, and it's absolutely stunning. And I've seen other pictures you've taken. I love the one you took of that beautiful yellow house in Dublin with this same form, and it's incredible. And I understand that in your 80s, under the pen name Jack Burton, you got into an International Photography Hall of Fame.
I did.
Amazing, amazing. Now I know that while you said you couldn't be a violinist, a few years later, and you were still in your 80s, you used quantum jumping to suddenly become a pianist. Will you play one of your tunes for us, Burt?
Yeah, well, with this one here, this is also, I thought, this is crazy. This can't be. I jumped into a piano playing me, and I merged with him. And the secret, of course, is the merger and the rhythm, which I'll talk about a little later, maybe. And then I bought one of these little keyboards over at Costco. For $100, they're amazing. And here's a song that I recorded. I call this one "Come Saturday." And this is me playing the piano. If you find it difficult to believe, I have to be honest with you, I find it difficult to believe. But this is me. Here it is.
And you're just channeling that. Could you stop the music for a second, Burt? That's amazing, because I remember visiting you 5 years ago in 2010, and you got on your piano and you said, hey, Vishen, watch this. I'm learning to teach myself to play the piano. And you were just kind of starting out. And how long did it take you to go from starting out to playing something like that, of that quality?
A couple of weeks, actually, because first of all,
that's what I find amazing, that it took a couple of weeks to get to that level.
I don't know chords. So my left hand, wherever it goes, bang, bang, always comes out good.
That's amazing. And these stories are also powerful because it shows people the depth of level they can reach with quantum jumping.
Quantum jumping is a lot of things. Some people simply call it an advanced visualization technique. It's more than that. Much, much more. You know, you hear about these energies, that everything has an energy. You hear about rhythms, that everything has a rhythm. Let me explain that somewhat to you so that you'll be able to understand it, because it's important to know about energy and vibrations with respect to quantum jumping. First of all, energy is vibrations, or vibrations are energy, you might say. But that's very abstract. So let me explain it so that you understand exactly what vibrations and energy is. By taking something on the physical plane that everybody knows, and that is totally a vibration, and that's music. So let's take something on the musical scale. Let's take the first note on the musical scale, the note A. That would be the middle A of a piano, because there are a lot of A's on different octaves, but we're taking the one in the middle just to more or less illustrate the point. A vibrates 880 times a second. Now that's science. I'm not making it up. It's true. 880 times a second. That's A. Now 440 is also A on a lower octave, just as 1760 is also A. We're not going to be concerned with octaves because I want to show you, or tell you rather, what quantum jumping is really all about. Now 880 means the sound of A. The manifestation is always A. If I could take my finger and move it 880 times a second, which of course I can, there'd be a hum. It would be an A, perfect A. Now let's say that you have a guitar, and that guitar is tuned to 880 vibrations per second. You would pluck it. You may not know an A from a banana, but it would sound nice. It would sound sweet. You'd know it was music. It was something. If you're a musician, you'd say, wow, that's a perfect A. Now let's take that A, let's loosen the string a little bit. So it's not vibrating at 880, now it's vibrating at 870. Incidentally, now I'm guessing. I don't know what 870 would be, but for, again, purpose of illustration, you might say that the A had a cold. It was a little off, so it was sick. Now let's loosen the string a little bit more so that it's vibrating at 860. Wow, pneumonia. Now let's loosen the string a little more. So now it's vibrating about 840, let's say. All you hear now is a twang because the A died. The vibrations got so far off that the A died. Now you've probably heard the expression, as below, so above, as above, so below. Well, in part, that means as it is on the physical, so it is on the mental. It also means as it is with an A, so it is with your left shoulder. So it is with your lungs. So it is with your throat. Because if you have a cold, if you have a sore throat, if your left shoulder bothers you, if you're a smoker and you've got a lung problem, it very simply means your vibrations are off. Your rhythm is off. Now, what's that got to do with quantum jumping? What we do in quantum jumping is restore the vibrations to the proper level. Now, you might say, well, what's that got to do with an A? And I'm not taking this because I'm sick, although you could. No, you may be taking it because you want to be successful in your field. You may be taking it because you want to be a musician. You may be taking it because you want to be a medical orderly or a doctor or an entrepreneur. You know, they all have their own particular vibration. What is it? I have no idea. But I know how I can vibrate to an A. How do you vibrate to an A? Well, if you've ever heard a singer sing, you can imagine that person singing. If you can imagine your favorite singer, your favorite vocalist singing, at one point in that song, that singer, that vocalist will hit an A. And as soon as they do, and you're thinking about the song, you're vibrating at A. It's as simple as that. With quantum jumping, we take you to a doppelganger, to a twin self on another universe. Well, you'll have to get into the program to really get into the real nuts and bolts of it. but we take you to a twin self of yours who is vibrating at the proper level. And just as when you tighten that guitar string back and get 880 again and get your perfect A, we tune you in with quantum jumping until you get to the point where you want to be and you become successful, you become talented, and you get the things that you want out of life. How's that for a promise?
So I want to get to the controversial aspect of quantum jumping. Okay, let's talk about why quantum jumping has been slammed. So a couple of people have said that this whole thing is crazy because in one of your speeches you claim that what's going on is that you're teaching people to jump into alternate versions of themselves in an alternate universe, right? So everyone listening, I know some of you guys might be skeptical about this, but I'd love for you to talk about this. What's going on here? How are you and these people and myself getting these skills, these talents, being able to learn how to play a piano in a matter of weeks, learning how to paint? What is this alternate universe thing that you talk about?
All right, I'll encapsulate it, put it in a nutshell, so to speak. In the world of quantum physics, the reason I call it quantum is because in the world of quantum physics, there is a belief that there's an infinity of universes. Now, that word infinity is not definable. You can't define infinity. Nobody even understands infinity. If you took every grain of sand on every beach, on every desert in the world, and put a number to it, that number wouldn't even come close to being an infinite number, because whatever the number you come up with, infinity is one more. Now, in an infinite world, now this is a quantum physics belief. In an infinite world, there is a you in whatever imaginable position you can conceive of. There is a world in every imaginable position. There is, in an infinity, there is a universe like ours is just a bubble universe. In a sea of bubble universes, an infinite sea. That being the case, there is a you who is the King of England. There is a you who's homeless. There is a you who's the Queen of France. There is a you who's an entrepreneur. Whatever you can imagine is right now. In any year, you can go into the past and prehistoric. There's a prehistoric you also, and there's a futuristic you. This is a quantum physics, pretty much a quantum physics belief. However, they also know that in the world of physics, there are laws that prevent you from going to those alternate selves, going to those alternate universes. The law of physics, we know that, let's say, the nearest star system is about 75 light years away. A light year being a year times the speed of light per second. So it's a gazillion. That's not a figure. It's a long way away. We'll never be able to reach our nearest star, much less get out of our galaxy in the world of physics. I don't teach physics. I teach metaphysics. That's what quantum jumping is about. Metaphysics is not physics. In the world of metaphysics, I can be on Mars in a second. I can be on the Alpha Centauri nebula in a flash. I can sit on the sun.
But all in your mind.
It's all mental.
It's all mental, right? So that's the important...
Metaphysics means beyond physics.
Right.
So when you use your mind and you understand what you're doing, you understand that everything is metaphoric.
I see. Now that's the key phrase, metaphorical. So when we talk about quantum jumping as a way to jump and meet your doppelgangers in alternate universes, no one is saying that that is actually happening and that we're doing this outside the laws of physics. What we're talking about is that we're doing it within the confines of the syntax of your mind.
Exactly.
And now I'd love to explain it this way for people who are listening. Quantum jumping is powerful, yes, but what exactly is going on? I've had this conversation with Burt many times, and the thing is, we don't know. We don't know what's going on. All we know is that it works. Now, think about it this way. For 40,000 years, humankind have used the sun for a bunch of different things, from navigation to growing crops, to heat, to warmth, to light. But nobody knew what the sun was. Some people, like the ancient Egyptians, thought it was the god Ra in his chariot gliding across the sky. Others thought it was a giant fireball in space. Nobody knew what the sun was, but it didn't stop people from using the sun in so many different ways. We don't know what quantum jumping is. We don't know how it works. We don't know how people are able to draw these inspirations, these skills, create huge changes in their personality, their confidence levels, even their health. But we know it works. Now, Burt, I remember having a really interesting conversation with the founder of Google X, the guy who invented the first Google class. His name was Tom Chi, and he was a guest on the Mind Valley Academy a couple of months back. And the conversation we had was, does God exist? And Tom Chi explained the idea of mental syntax. He said, well, let me ask you this, Vishen. Does meditation exist? It doesn't. Meditation is all in your head. But science will show you empirical proof that meditation changes your physical body. It extends your lifespan. It makes you younger. It changes your personality. What is often syntax in our head becomes real because we as human beings are constantly creating a world based on the syntax and the beliefs in our head. Thus, God doesn't exist as anything more than a syntax in our head. But God is very, very, very real. And people reap the benefits of that belief, the happiness, the feeling of warmth and support. Likewise, we could argue that quantum jumping is real as a syntax in our head. And by using the tools that you're about to teach, people can reap those same beliefs, those same benefits. What you believe to be true tends to be true. So that, I wanted to share that to just get rid of any skepticism or anyone who might say that this is way too woo-woo. You cannot argue with the results that people are getting. Anything to add, Burt?
Let me ask you a question, my friend. How do you visualize? Have you ever thought about that? How do you dream? How do you daydream? It's all pretty much the same mechanism. You use your daydreaming mechanism is what you're doing. That's the way you quantum jump. I take a quantum jump now recreationally often. When something is bothering me, I take a recreational quantum jump. Now, how do I do it? I just daydream. That's all. I used to have children's classes. Yeah, children quantum jump all the time. They don't even realize it. And very often I will tell a child to visualize, and they'll say, well, how do you do that? And I'll say, well, see the thing that you want to see. See a circle. Well, I can't do it, the child will say. I'll say, well, pretend that you can. Oh, okay. And it gets them every time. So I tell people who have a problem quantum jumping, if the only reason that they have a problem is it wasn't explained to them properly. And of course, with our program, you won't have that problem because the whole program is designed to explain it to you properly. But when people can't quite get it, I just say, well, pretend that you can. And you know something? They get it every single time. Quantum jumping is easy. But then again, finding a light switch is easy if you know where it is. But if you don't know where it is, it's impossible. What we do, we show you all the light switches are, where they are, so that you can flip them on and off at your will. Quantum jumping is impossible if you don't know where the switch is. And it's the easiest thing in the world if you know exactly how to turn it on. And believe me, I'll teach you how. I've done it for many, many years.
Well, then let's get started with the quantum jumping training.
All right. Now, quantum jumping is vast and it's deep. And, it's really going to take like about 20 hours of training. And we've just had a few moments with each other here. But I can get you started. Let's say we'll go into quantum jumping 101, the very basics of it. But I'll give you enough so that you can take a jump right now and kind of get a toe dip. Check the waters out, so to speak. See how comfortable you are. I don't know anything wonderful is going to happen. It may. But just go along with me. I'm just going to actually take you to a meditative state. Now, meditation, the way I use it, is simply a concentration of attention. Normally, our mind is filled with minutia. Bees buzzing in and out, in and out. You smell something, it reminds you of something. You see something, it reminds you. You touch, all your senses are bringing in information constantly. We don't want that. We want you to focus on one particular subject. That is why meditation is important. It concentrates your attention. So what I'm going to do is take you to the meditative state and just go along with what I'm saying, because all it's going to be for you is like a controlled daydream. That's all. And then I'm going to take you to an area where you may see a little door. What kind of a door? Well, you can use a door to your own home. You've opened that door many times. You know what it looks like. You close your eyes, you can visualize that door. When you open that door, you will be somewhere else. Where? Well, what are you going to use this for? What do you want to be successful with? What is it you want to do? Is there something that you've always longed for, perhaps in your childhood, that you never had the confidence to go after, that you never had the motivation to go after? Well, this is just liable to surprise you, because when you open that door, you're going to see a person who is successful right now doing what it is you want to do. Want to be a successful entrepreneur? You are. You already are. In another universe, according to laws of infinity, you already are. You want to be a medical doctor? You are. A musician? You are. An internet entrepreneur? You already are. You're there. So pick something that you want to be successful at for this very first jump, and I will guide you through it. Okay?
So we'll give you about 30 seconds. Think about that vision of you that you'd like to be in the future. Okay, I'm sure people are ready at this point, Burt.
All right. Now, here's what we're going to do. In a moment, I'm going to have you close your eyes. Now, you might think that, well, that's rather foolish. Here we are looking at you on a video, and you want me to close my eyes. Yes, I do want you to close your eyes. So obviously, you're not going to do this in a moving vehicle or when you're walking down the street. You want to be comfortable somewhere. When you're meditating, you want to be comfortable. Quantum jumping. Now, I quantum jump very often when I'm walking down the street, but you're not there yet. This is quantum jumping at the very beginning. So you want to make yourself comfortable. If you're sitting in front of your computer, that's fine. You got your iPad in bed with you, that's fine. Whatever, your iPhone, as long as you're not driving it. If you're a passenger in a car, that's fine. But not driving, of course. Okay. Now, if you're ready, before we do this, before we go into this, think now what it is that you would like to be. Is there a particular trade, a particular profession, a particular thing in your life, an event? Is there a particular person that you'd like to emulate? What is it? You want to be a great mathematician? Do you want to be an engineer? You've got the world to choose from. Everything. Think about that. Because what I'm going to do is guide you through a meditative state. And when you reach the state of meditation where you're completely relaxed, I'm going to have you visualize that door. Now, the door can be the front door of your home. You know what it looks like. You're going to open it, and you're going to step through the door, and you're going to be with that successful you, a you who is successful. Just daydream it. Sometimes I'll do a children's class. Yes, we do children's classes too. I'll do a children's class, and I'll say to the child, pretend that you're there. Oh, everybody knows how to pretend. So you can do that too. Visualize or pretend. Don't make a big thing out of it. Remember, this is 1 and 1 is 2. That's all we're doing here. Before you can do higher mathematics, you have to know how to do 1 and 1 is 2. And that's what you're doing here. So don't be concerned. Just imagine the you who is successful. And if you can't see it, create somebody. You can do that. I'll guide you through it. Okay? That's kind of an orientation that I just did. So just relax now. All right? All right, now close your eyes and just listen to my voice. With your eyes closed, imagine the number 3. You can see a number 3. Imagine that number 3. Now take a deep breath And as you exhale, imagine that 3 flashing. 3, 3, 3. Very good. Now take another deep breath. And now imagine the number 2, 2, 2, 2. Very good. Now take another deep breath. And now imagine the number 1, 1, 1, 1. That's fine. All meditation is, the way we're using it, is simply a very relaxed, a very peaceful, a stress-free area of the mind. Now I'm going to count from 10 to 1 to help to deepen the meditation. 10. As I count, 9. Feel yourself going deeper. 8. 7. So comforting. 6. To be deeply relaxed. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Just relax. When you relax, your immune system is strengthened. Your body knows what to do. When you relax and meditate, you take your mind away from your body. You get rid of the psychosomatic illnesses, the depressions, the things that normally bother you. Psychosomatic. Psyche is the mind. Soma is the body. Psychosoma, the mind getting in the way of the body. When you relax, you free your mind, but in freeing your mind, you also free your body. Now, as you relax, allow your immune system to strengthen, which it will do as soon as the mind is out of the way. All of those cares, all of those regrets, all of those guilts are gone. They only live in your memory. Your memory lives in your mind. When you meditate, you eliminate all the resentments of the past. You eliminate all the problems of the past. Relax. Now imagine that you're at the top of a stairway. There are 10 steps leading to a small hallway. You're at the top step. Imagine taking a step at a time and very slowly to go down into the hallway at the bottom of the steps. You're at the 10th step. Step down to the 9th, the 8th, the 7th, the 6th, the 5th step, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, and the 1st step, and then the landing in the small hallway. At the end of the hallway, imagine a door. It looks like the door to your front door, the same door as your front door to your home, to your apartment, to your house, to your condo. Wherever you live, there's a front door, and there it is in front of you. Except this particular door leads to another dimension. When you open that door, on the other side of the door will be a twin self of yours, a doppelganger. A doppelganger is a word that means a twin walker or twin self. So your doppelganger will be there. You have a doppelganger in every area of events in life that you can imagine. You have a twin self who is anything you can imagine. The twin self on the other side of that door is a success in the area that you want to be successful with. Imagine that. When the door opens, create that self. If your twin self is not there waiting for you, create him or her. Create that self. It will be yours because it comes from your mind, of course. Now, take a few steps to the front, to the door. Take a look at the handle of the doorknob. Reach out. The door opens inward towards you. Reach out and pull the door towards you. Slowly, the door is opening. Door is opening. Door is open. And there on the other side, someone is waiting for you. It's a very positive you, a successful you, the kind of a self that you want to be. Now step over the threshold into the realm of your doppelganger. Just observe. Only observe. Just look at what your doppelganger is doing. Your twin self is doing something that you want to be doing. Don't talk to your twin self. Not yet. Only observe. I'll be quiet for just a moment while you observe the scene. Do not attempt to talk at this time. Only observe your doppelganger. Your doppelganger will be doing something that shows the success of the event or the thing that you want to be doing. Relax and observe. Relax. Now that you've observed what is the positive end result of your success, you're now going to gather the rhythm of that doppelganger. All things have a rhythm. Success has a rhythm, just as failure has a rhythm. If you do not have the rhythm at the present time, your doppelganger certainly does, because that is the person that you have created here. Now, still with your eyes closed and viewing your doppelganger, walk up closer to the doppelganger. Closer, closer, closer. And now merge. You have the ability to merge with your doppelganger. If your doppelganger's back is in front of you, just step right into your doppelganger. If your doppelganger's front is towards you, just back into your doppelganger so that you've merged. Now that you've merged with your doppelganger, allow your doppelganger to take over. What is your doppelganger doing that you wouldn't have been doing because you do not have the facilities, the energies, the talents of your doppelganger? Your doppelganger is doing the things that you would be doing if you had achieved success in the line that you're looking for. So allow your doppelganger to take over and do the things that you want. Just relax. I will give you a few moments. I will be silent. Allow your doppelganger to do the thing successfully. Begin. That's fine. You now have taken on the rhythm of your doppelganger. You've taken on the rhythm of your twin successful self. You cannot bring back yourself, your twin self. However, you can bring back the rhythm. That's what quantum jumping is all about. Now I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and at the count of 3, you will spring out of your doppelganger. 1, 2, 3. You're now out of your doppelganger. Thank your doppelganger. Your doppelganger has been a big help to you. You can visit your doppelganger at any time. He or she will always be there for you. Now I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and at the count of 3, you'll be in the hallway. 1, 2, 3. You're in the hallway, the door is closing. The door is closed. And that was your first quantum jump. And now, walk up the stairs. You're at the bottom step. Walk up. The first step, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're at the top of the stairway. I will now count from 1 to 3. At the count of 3, your eyes will open. You'll be wide awake, refreshed, fully satisfied, fully relaxed, with a great memory of your first quantum jumping. 1, 2, 3. Eyes open, wide awake, feeling fine, feeling even better than before. Thank you.
Thank you, Burt. I hope all of you listening had an amazing experience with that exercise. And the cool thing about it is that simple. Now, that, of course, is just one of the many different depths and levels of quantum jumping. But that's basically the beginner starter exercise. That's how I started. I took the quantum jumping program, Quantum Jumping 1, the first quantum jumping course. It was 8 hours, I remember. I went through the entire program on one Saturday, and I had amazing results right up from my first jump. Now, some of you may decide to enroll in the program. More on that later, and go all the way and really master this. Some of you might just want to stop at that level. That's okay too. We hope this brings you incredible benefits. But thank you for that. What I want to do, though, is share with everyone listening a really remarkable idea of what happens, of where that little thing that they just learned, where that can go. And in my research, I was looking for people in the past, in history, who had used techniques like this. And I came across this quote, okay, and this story from the legendary 1930s book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So Napoleon Hill was an author in the 1920s and 30s, and he was asked to interview all the greatest men alive in America at that time to find out what made them tick. And as he interviewed these people, he came to the conclusion that it was more than just practical common business sense or intelligence or wit. These men, he said, in the original version of the book, he said he believed that they were working with some sort of vibration. They tend to have, now he used the word vibration because back then there was no term for meditation or ESP or things like that. So he called it a vibration. Now, Napoleon Hill devised a technique that he called, sometimes he called it the invisible counselor technique, sometimes it was called the boardroom technique. But what he would do was very akin to your quantum jumping. It was like an early version of it. He would picture himself in a boardroom, and there would be a long table, and sitting all around the table would be remarkable men of history whose knowledge he would want to draw upon. So he would pick people like Abraham Lincoln or Andrew Carnegie or Edison, people whom he would want to seek advice. Now, what he said would happen is that he would, in his mind's eye, pretend he was in this boardroom, close his eyes, and imagine he could see conversations with these men and ask them questions, ask them advice on his career, on his book, and his success. Now, I'm reading straight from the book right now. Napoleon said, even though these meetings were fictional, and these meetings existed only in my imagination, they have led me into glorious paths of adventure, rekindling the appreciation of true greatness, encouraging creative endeavor, and emboldening the expression of honest thought. Now, of course, that's fancy 1920s writing. What he was saying is that these imaginary meetings with great men were giving him stuff that completely transformed his life. Now, that is exactly what you're saying about quantum jumping, right?
Exactly.
But here's where it gets crazy, and this is the part I do not understand. Napoleon said, and again, I'm reading straight from Think and Grow Rich, okay? He said, as he continued doing this, something else would happen, and this is where it got bizarre. The men in his imaginary world would become real. He said, Napoleon had 9 men around, including people like Lincoln, right? So he said, each of these 9 men developed individual characteristics which surprised me. For example, Lincoln developed the habit of always being late, then walking around in solemn parade. He went on to say that sometimes these men would get into conversations with each other. They would get into arguments, all in his imaginary boardroom. And it seemed as if as you start playing with this, as you start doing quantum jumping, it gets more and more and more and more and more real. What I found is that as I started doing this, my doppelgangers would take on personality traits, even dressing styles, characteristics. The conversations I would have would be as real as if I'm having them right now with you. Now, I'm sharing this with the audience because I want you to know that this is no simple trick of the mind. The more you practice this, the more powerful it becomes, the more deeper these conversations go. And expert quantum jumpers are able to just close their eyes, do Burt's technique. It's called the Baga. Burt will teach you in the advanced course. It involves the positioning of your tongue, and you instantly zap into this imaginary alternate dimension. But what you then see there is almost as real as the real world. And it's as if you have a counselor, an advisor, giving you direct advice. And often this advice is absolutely astonishing. I've used this to design radical new websites. I've used this to make business meetings. I've used this to empower myself before getting on stage or closing a big deal. So just want you to know that this could be insanely powerful as you go deeper. Now, how many of you here, raise your hand, if you can see how valuable this skill could be in your life as you truly master and practice it. And keep in mind, Burt, how long is the entire program? It's about 20 hours?
Well, I don't think anybody has ever sat through it from the beginning to the end at one time.
Right.
It's a little over 20 hours, actually.
It's a little over 20 hours. So yes, do this on your own if you want to. But if you want to enroll in the Mind Valley Academy Quantum Jumping Program, we've refreshed it and we've put together something completely new. It's called Quantum Jumping Mastery. Okay, so we'll tell you about that in a bit. Burt, I'd love for you to share that incredible story you shared about Sarah Zuniga, because this will really give people an idea of just what they can do with quantum jumping. Would you share the Sarah story with us?
Yeah, every now and again you get somebody and you just never forget them. And Sarah Zuniga was one, because, I get emails all the time from people how they used quantum jumping. Well, Sarah was a housekeeper, and she was making something like $265 a week. And her ambition was to make $100,000 or $150,000 a year, because she felt $100,000 a year, and that's it. And she's there. $150,000, and she's an entrepreneur already. How can she do it? How can she do it? Well, she took some quantum jumps, and then the last I heard from her, this is what had happened. She wound up as an entrepreneur herself. She went to real estate people and she asked them, do they have any homes that they can't sell that a decorator, she's a decorator, she said she can go in and she'll redecorate the house, and she'll change the house into a showplace. And she said she went to 2 or 3 or 4 real estate people, and surprisingly, almost all of them were interested in the service. Some of them would bargain with her for the amount of money that she would get. I don't recall what the amount of money. All I know is her goal was $150,000 a year. $100,000 she'd be very happy with. Well, the last I heard, this was in Cleveland. The last I heard, Sarah's husband, who was, I believe, a floor waxer or a carpet layer or something like that, I don't recall exactly. He quit his job, and now he manages Sarah. And I think she's got 6, 7 people working for her. She's an interior decorator. She still does houses, but instead of charging $10 an hour or whatever she was charging before, she charges a couple of $100 a house, and she doesn't even do the work. She sends her workers in. She got all this by jumping into a successful Sarah Zuniga, who gave her the idea who gave her the idea, don't go to the houses, go to the real estate people. They have the houses and they can afford to pay you because they're selling houses for, at that time, for 75, 100,000, $200,000. I don't know where Sarah is now, but I'm sure she's doing twice as good because now the houses that used to sell for 100,000 are selling for 300,000. And a real estate person doesn't mind spending 1,000 or 1,500 for a decorator to change the house completely. As a matter of fact, now, as an addendum to the story, there are all kinds of TV programs of people who have made a living doing exactly what Sarah was doing, except now they're doing it on TV. Same thing.
Now,
I love Sarah's Vinegar story.
what's interesting about that story, Burt, and this is why I want you to share it, is I wanted to break that story down because it's going to give people a template on how they can take the exercise that they just learned from you and apply it in their life. So let's look at Sarah Zuniga, right? And I actually have all the details of that story here. She was earning $265 a week. She was a house cleaner. Her husband was earning $700 as a floor waxer. They They invested in quantum jumping. They went through the quantum jumping course. Today, Sarah, when we got the story, Sarah had 87 employees. So she's probably well beyond her goal of 150.
That was a couple of years back, yeah.
Yeah, but here's the interesting thing, right? So, and this is what you want to know if you now want to apply quantum jumping in your life. Think about that magic number. It could be a salary number. In Sarah's case, it was 150. Think about that magic number, or maybe it's not a number for you. Maybe it's a book. You want to get a book out. Maybe it's you want to be working at a particular job in a company. Maybe you want to be in a particular healthy relationship. Think about what is that magic image that attracts you. Now you do the quantum jump. Now, here's what often happens in the quantum jump. First time, you may not hear anything. Second time, maybe not. You may get an impulse, a thought. Different people are intuitive in different ways. Like some people like Sarah hear, it's called clairaudience. They hear the sound. Some people are clairvoyant. They see the image. Some people are clairsentient. They feel things. Now, Sarah experienced what is called clairaudience, which means she heard her doppelganger say, dress up houses for sale. Dress up, then she started thinking about that. What does she mean by dress up houses? And what she figured out is that real estate people who are looking to sell a house, they need someone to come in and dress up the house because then they can command a higher value. Sometimes just adding a beautiful curtain or changing the carpet will make a house go up in value 10, 15, 20%. So Sarah started charging $500 to dress up a house. This was already way more than she made in 2 weeks of work, right? And the business became so successful, dress up houses for sale, that she ended up employing 87 people and she hit that mark, 150. So often we try to solve problems in the world through logical analysis. So we look at where we are now, and then where we need to go step by step. This is a very slow way. Sometimes it's better to ask the universe, ask your doppelganger, which is a representation of the universe, who's already here, what do I need to do to get there? And you get a shortcut. Your intuition, your inspiration gives you that shortcut. And when you do quantum jumping, that shortcut would come through hearing advice, seeing an image, feeling something. Don't get hung up on how it comes to you. Like I said, all of us have different intuitive senses, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, but pay attention to what comes to you and then take a step to act on it. In the words of Napoleon Hill, it opens up all manner of bold possibilities to you. It encourages creative endeavor, emboldens the expression of honest thought, rekindles the appreciation of true greatness. Once you realize that the answers are within, your life will never be the same again. So with that, we wrap up this masterclass. And Burt, I would love to have you tell us about Quantum Jumping 1, Quantum Jumping 2, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the other courses that we're adding to Quantum Jumping Mastery, just so people who want to go further and really master this skill know what they can do next. So the new Quantum Jumping Mastery program is a collection of 4 different quantum jumping courses. So really, you get Quantum Jumping 1, which is about 8 hours, Quantum Jumping 2, which is the advanced course, and then you get further advanced exercises for specific applications, business health, and then we're adding on another really popular course by Burt. It's called Past Life Regression. This is where you quantum jump to your past lives, and you gain some incredible ideas from there as well. I found some clues into understanding myself when I did this. So, but give us an idea. Let's talk about quantum jumping 1 and quantum jumping 2. What can someone expect to learn from this as they go deep into the program?
Well, as you go deeper into the program, of course, you get more comfortable with the fact that the thing is working, but it's not a magic wand. That I'd like to get off to everybody. When I say it's not a magic wand, nothing works 100% of the time, every single time. Doesn't work for me. It didn't work for whoever. But it works enough of the time to put you a giant step ahead of everybody else, to put you a giant step ahead. And if you're not interested in getting ahead of anyone else, it puts you a giant step ahead of where you were before. Quantum jumping, the first program, is the initial program that I developed to get a person started and get comfortable with their doppelganger, with their twin selves, and to show them that they virtually had no limitations, that they could do just about anything. With respect to, we talk about success as though that's the end all and be all. And most people think of success as money, and it's not. It's good to have money, like Ann Landers once said, "I've been rich and I've been poor, and rich is better." And then her sister said, who also had a Dear Abby column, said that rich or poor, it's good to have money, and we all know that. But money is not happiness. I mean, there are plenty of people with millions who jump out of windows. I just read that Bill Gates he's leaving to his 3 children in his will $10 million each. Now, here's a man that's got $100 billion. He's doing a smart thing. He's giving them enough, but not too much. What is behind successful, happy lives if it's not money? Well, health is certainly part of it. If you've got money, you can usually afford better doctors and your health can be better. But it's not health either, because the best example of that is Stephen Hawking. I mean, here's a man that is so debilitated it's beyond belief, and yet he writes books and he's a very happy man. So what is it? People always ask me, "You do quantum jumping a lot?" I says, "Yeah, I do. I quantum jump walking down the street." These are the things that you learn in quantum jumping too, by the way. But quantum jumping 1, the first program, will give you the tools to do anything that you want. That's all you need. But once you reach that particular point, you're going to want to do better. You're going to want to do more. You want to see, what else did Burt have in mind? Why does he look the way he looks when he's almost 90 years old? I know the way I look. I look in the mirror. I can't believe my age either. And I have a young wife. My wife is 30 years younger than me. And she makes me happy. We have a wonderful relationship. Relationships, happiness, satisfaction. The reason that I look the way I do, it's not diet. I eat anything I want. It's not exercise. I seldom get any exercise. I'm always either typing or painting. For me, exercise is a walk from one end of the house to the other. I very seldom even get to walk around the block. So what is it? Attitude. You want the magic word? Attitude. Quantum jumping will help you to get the right attitude. So with quantum 1 and quantum 2 don't do it, then we've got past lives. And that one, I've seen more miraculous things happen with that than you can even imagine. Now, you may not believe that there is such a thing as a past life. You know something? It doesn't matter. I never ask a person, "Do you believe this is work?" All I want to know is this going to work? Does it work? My mantra is, does it work? If it works, I'm going to use it. Does quantum jumping 1 work for you? Use it. Will quantum 2 do better? Maybe for you, maybe not. If you can afford it, and it's not much more than the price of a good meal today, why not? And after you go through that, you're going to want, then I know you're going to want to be, that will arouse your interest in past lives. because past lives and quantum jumping are like bread and butter. They go along perfectly with each other. I very often will jump into a past life. I even, now this is going to sound silly to you, but I jump into TV programs too. I like Masterpiece Theater, like Downton Abbey. I love Downton Abbey. I'm part of that family because I quantum jump right into it.
It is. It is. So, Burt, let me give the audience an idea of what happens when they enroll in the current Quantum Jumping Mastery Program in Mind Valley Academy. So, you could get Quantum Jumping 1, which is about 8 hours, and I did it in one day. I did the entire 8 hours. One of the cool things about Quantum Jumping 1 is, and I'm reading a quote by Marilyn Michael from Edmonton, Alberta. I've never meditated long before as it was boring. This is not boring. In short, this is wild and wonderful. It's one of the most fun meditations ever. So if you're worried that meditation isn't for you, don't worry. This is a whole different beast. So you get Quantum Jumping 1. Now, Quantum Jumping 1 is typically $200 if you were to buy it from one of the Mind Valley websites. You also get Quantum Jumping 2, which is the advanced program. Now, Quantum Jumping 2 is also around $200. It's also around the same hours, about 8 hours. So that itself is about $400, and you'll be surprised when we show you the final price. Of course, at these masterclasses, we dramatically bring down the price for 6 days, 5 to 6 days. Now, in addition to that, we're going to toss in Burt's Quantum Jumping Past Life Regression Program, which is really cool. That's about $79. We're going to bundle that together. And there's a fourth bonus. You will click on the link below this video to go to the page to read about the fourth bonus. I just want to keep that a surprise, so you are incentivized to go check out the page and do the research for yourself and decide for yourself. Altogether, it's about $600. If you look at the price that we're selling it for, you can see it's more than a 50% discount. And also, if you're new to Mind Valley, you know that all our programs are now on a new platform, a new learning platform, so you can play them with YouTube quality streaming directly on your screen. You can download them as MP3 and add them to your smartphone. You can even open up the Mind Valley Academy on your smartphone and just play them, as long as you have, a phone that has internet access or 3G. Play it in your car. It works on your iPhone, your Android phone, your smartphone. It's so easy to use. It is accessible everywhere. So what we've done with Quantum Jumping Mastery is, if we've taken all the best quantum jumping courses, we've put them together in a beautiful new framework. We've redesigned everything, and we've also put it on new technology so it plays instantly on your smartphone anywhere you are. So you can listen to it on the go. Now, I don't want you to think that you can quantum jump while driving a car. Listen to the lecture bits, but when it comes to the actual quantum jumping bits, do it at home. But you'll recall something Burt said. He said he can quantum jump while walking down the street. When you go through the entire program and start practicing this, in less than 30 days, you will have that ability. You will be able to start activating that quantum jumping mindset while walking down the street when you're trying to solve a problem. It's really amazing how it works. It shifts the entire way you work with your mind, the way you work with creativity, with inspiration, with meditation. This is why we're really excited to be bringing this to the Mind Valley Academy. Right now, Burt, we've had about 70,000 quantum jumping students. 70,000
Wow.
on Mind Valley Academy. So, and that's not counting the people who are signing up right now. From this one masterclass, we'll get another 5,000 or 6,000. So, thank you so much for joining us. For everyone else, I hope you can see how valuable this can be to your life and how amazing this program can be. And know that, you're really paying for one. You're just paying for Quantum Jumping 1, but we're going to give you 2 and Past Life Regression, and a third bonus. We're giving you 4 courses so that you can go incredibly deep. You're getting 4 for the price of 1. One of the biggest things about quantum jumping that we notice from the letters we get from people, we have about 600 love letters, right, that we've gotten in just the last 1 year that we haven't even added to our website, is the number of people who recommend this to their friends, who teach this to their kids, who tell friends about it. It is amazing. I was at a dinner in San Diego recently, but even you don't know this story. And there was a couple of interesting people around the dinner table, and there was this guy who runs a morning talk show host in San Diego. And all of a sudden, I hear him talking about quantum jumping. He's like, guys, I stumbled upon this really amazing thing. I've been using it. It's totally like changing the way I come across on camera. And he mentioned quantum jumping, and he was shocked to learn that I had worked with you to bring this to the world. So anyway, I believe we've shared a ton of information. Burt, thank you for being so generous and sharing your information. Hope all of you
My
enjoyed
pleasure.
this class. Feel free to use quantum jumping, the basic meditation you learn. Feel free to use it in your life, to tell your friends about it. If you want to go further, we'd love to see you as a quantum jumping student on the Mind Valley Academy. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.